Just ahead on CTV News, Marylanders advised to stay on alert during an uptick in gold bar scams.
If you look at the number and you don't recognize the number, don't answer the phone.
Plus, a local company helps develop a new test for cancer screenings. And a teen poet is awarded a local legend scholarship. Those stories and more on CTV News starting now.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us for CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton. It's August 13th. Well, Maryland officials are warning county agencies and employees about malware attacks disguised as Public Information Act requests. Maryland Association of Counties officials say a similar scam has affected county attorneys in Virginia, and while there's no evidence of attacks yet in Maryland, they want Maryland offices to stay vigilant. Now, Virginia continues to have received Freedom of Information Act requests with attachments that contain malware capable of shutting down entire systems. The Association of Counties recommends requesting any PIA attachments be sent in the body of an email to avoid attacks. Meanwhile, Montgomery County officials are warning residents to stay alert after several victims have fallen prey to a strategic scam. CTV was at the press conference where officials are revealing how these scammers are convincing people to convert their assets into gold bars.
I think that there is a lot of pain that comes with knowing that you're responsible for putting you and your family at financial risk.
At a press conference on Monday, Montgomery County State's Attorney John McCarthy, along with FBI and law enforcement officials, revealed a troubling rise in scams, particularly an elaborate gold bar scheme. Scammers are posing as tech support, financial representatives, and even federal agents, convincing victims to convert their money into gold bars and meet at undisclosed locations for the exchange.
If you think that you could not fall victim to this because you have a degree in psychology or science or astrophysics, you're wrong.
Recently, 19-year-old Jin Yong Wing was arrested for allegedly targeting an 82-year-old Silver Spring woman, tricking her into transferring her assets into gold bars to protect her money from Russia. So far, several victims in the county have fallen for the scam, resulting in millions lost with little hope of recovery.
I know my aunt has felt a lot of shame for this. Unfortunately, it's been hard on everyone. We are worried because she is in jeopardy of losing her house and any of our housing. For us, it's just been really sad to watch.
This scam isn't just local, it's happening nationwide.
Those are the two biggest things. Don't answer your phone if you don't recognize the number. Don't click on the pop-up ads.
And if you think you've been victimized by a gold bar scam, contact the non-emergency number 301-297-8000. Well, a suspect is in custody after a man died at Greenbelt Park yesterday morning. And according to United States Park Police, officers were called to the park for reports of a man suffering from trauma. Now, the man was pronounced dead on the scene. Officers arrived shortly after 9 a.m. and quickly identified and arrested a suspect. Now, details on the victim's injuries and suspect's identity have not yet been released, and this is still an ongoing investigation. And police are investigating a shooting that left a teenager dead on Saturday night. The victim is 16-year-old Carlos Segura III of Sandy Springs. Officers responded to a shooting near Lebanon Street in the Langley Park area at 7:30 p.m. Evidence of a shooting was found, but officers were unable to locate the victim on the scene. Now, they were later notified that Segura was taken to a hospital where he later died. And a $25,000 reward is being offered to anyone who has any information leading to an arrest. And a Prince George's based company was among those nationwide that helped develop a new blood test for colorectal cancer. Mid-Atlantic GI Research is located in Greenbelt. The Food and Drug Administration recently approved blood tests for adults 45 and older who have an average risk of colon cancer. Now, the test does not replace colonoscopies, but it is a non-invasive approach to screening. Some 20,000 people nationwide took part in the testing.
This test tests for certain genetic mutations and alterations which are more specific for colorectal cancer. So the sensitivity of the test for detecting colon cancer is higher. So this adds a new level with a higher sensitivity, where nowadays only about 40% of people are actually getting the screening. This is another tool in our arsenal to make sure that we, reach a higher number of people who get screened for the disease, which can be preventable.
Now, FDA approval means Medicare and private insurance companies are more likely to cover the cost of the blood test, and colon cancer is the second leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S. And the city of Baltimore has announced a major win in the fight against the opioid epidemic, a $45 million settlement with CVS. Now, the settlement wraps up ongoing litigation against opioid distributors and manufacturers, with CVS paying the full amount this year. Now, this is Baltimore's second settlement related to opioid claims, following a similar $45 million agreement with Allergan earlier this summer. And parents, listen up. If your child takes the school bus in the county, you might need to hear this. The school district is moving to standardize bell times, consolidating 13 different start times across the county to just 6. PGCTV Superintendent Millard House II hopes this change will help alleviate ongoing bus and transportation issues in the county. Now, standardizing school bell times helps balance the distribution of trips, resulting in improved transportation efficiency. House II says these steps are part of a long-term solution to ensure every child arrives to school on time and gets home safely. The district is hosting several information sessions starting tonight, but for more information, make sure you visit that website right there on your screen. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton. Still to come, if you're a fan of Budweiser, beer, horses, or parades, we have the perfect event for you coming to the harbor. We'll have that story and more when we return.
I surrender.
All right, pal.
Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
Why do you ask that, kiddo?
Can I play with it?
No, absolutely not. It's not a toy. You know that. Anyway, I need it to protect you, your sister, and Mom.
But what about the 8 kids who get shot every day by mistake?
Where'd you hear that?
Where do you keep it?
It's hidden.
I bet it's on the top shelf of the closet, under your sweatshirts. Is it loaded? Remember when I found my Christmas gift? You always told me to be curious.
No, that's not what I meant.
And when it's just me and Mom, I could use the gun to protect her.
No, Justin, I promise. I'm always here for you.
But Dad, you're not always here.
Sunshine through today with seasonal temperatures. We should reach our normal high of about 82 degrees by this afternoon. Clear skies tonight with a low near 70.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes. Good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you, like me,
are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why 2? 1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on, learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. With public schools in Montgomery County set to open in less than 2 weeks, school officials announced the arrival of dozens of teachers from overseas that are in the county as part of a cultural exchange program. Byron Skies in Rockville with our story.
This program fills a critical need here in Montgomery County. The cultural exchange involves 42 teachers from the Philippines. Now, the program allows J-1 visa holders to teach in the U.S., and many of them will be filling in critical vacancies in special education and math, which means students will have teachers in the classrooms when the classes begin later this month. Now, the teachers who arrive in the States in July will receive assistance in arranging housing and transportation on security. Now, the cultural exchange teachers are compensated using the same pay table as MCPS teachers based on education and years of experience. Now, this new partnership will allow the county to significantly reduce the number of vacancies when the school year begins on August 26th. In Rockville, Byron Scott, CTV News.
All right, Byron, thanks so much. Well, Governor Wes Moore announced $7.3 million in workforce grants to help upskill Marylanders and boost the state's competitiveness in healthcare, IT, skilled trades, and hospitality. Now, this funding comes from the Employment Advancement Right Now Maryland program, also known as EARN. Now, for the past decade, EARN Maryland has been a game changer, and this program offers education and skills training for those unemployed or underemployed, while also providing career advancement opportunities for current workers. And the Maryland House of Delegates is one seat closer to a full chamber after a new delegate is sworn in. Now, Delegate Teresa Saavedra Warman is the newest member representing Montgomery County as a Democrat. Warman fills the seat left vacant by Delegate Sarah Love, who became a state senator to fill a different vacancy. Warman is a Mexican immigrant and previously served as an aide to Montgomery County Executive Mark Elridge.
Serving in the House of Delegates is a Hispanic job. It's also a black job, a white job, an Asian American job, a man's job, a woman's job, a rich person's job, a poor person's job, and a middle-class person's job. It's a job for parents with children, single people, married people, divorced people, and widowed people, and a job for people from all walks of life. It's even a job for the Democrats and the Republicans. Democracy and representation are for everyone, and we are so lucky that we are represented by this great House of Delegates and that we see that in here.
Now, just one vacant seat in the House remains for Wicomico County. Well, the University of Maryland's athletic director has just received a contract expansion through the 2028-2029 athletic season. Damon Evans took over as athletic director in June of 2018, but during his tenure, the Terrapins have won 49 Big Ten championships and tournaments, ranking them third in the conference during that span. The university has been able to break ground, open or renovate 15 different athletic-related projects during his tenure. And a local teen poet is awarded a scholarship that honors the memory of a Maryland poetry legend. The first ever Lucille Clifton Literary Scholarship was awarded to former Prince George's County Youth Poet Laureate Marissa Michelle. The award was presented at the Fresh Voices Youth Poetry Open Mic at Spalding's Branch Library, and former Maryland poet laureate Lucille Clifton was a two-time Pulitzer Prize finalist who brought her perspective as a black woman to work on focus on overcoming adversity, family, and endurance.
I became the Prince George's County Youth Poet Laureate in 2020, and Lucille Clifton was one of my favorite poets at the time. And I am a free verse poet. I really write from the heart, and I feel like in Lucille Clifton's work, I got to see someone doing that all the time and just letting their words speak for themselves, letting them go with the flow of what they were writing. And so I definitely feel like as a poet, Lucille Clifton, the beauty of her work, the pain that she's able to describe, but also the joy, which is so well balanced, has inspired me.
When I still see the amount of love that she still gets and her writing still gets, I mean, it is a comfort in a way for us as a family to see that legacy continue. And as Ms. Richard said, she was the mother of 6 kids, and that was so important to her to be a mother and to pass along to generations. So to see that continue is something that warms my heart to see her remembered so well.
And congratulations to Marissa, who is a junior at Emerson College studying filmmaking and screenwriting. And the scholarship was founded by Prince George's County Poet Laureate Emerita Sister Joy Alford. And if you love Budweiser or parades, we have the perfect event for you. Next Thursday, the Budweiser Clydesdale Parade is stopping here in Prince George's County as part of the nationwide tour. The horses will be at the National Harbor to help celebrate the Bob Hall Beverage Company that was awarded the prestigious Ambassador of Excellence from Anheuser-Busch. The parade route starts at 29 Waterfront Street around 4 p.m. and will make a 30-minute stop at 177 Fleet Street for those who want to take pictures with the world-renowned horses. And still to come on CTV News, it's Tuesday, and our financial expert, Ernest Burley, is here for another Money Matters segment. And this week, we're talking about a difficult but important task, making a will. We'll be right back.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill?
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kids should know.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
You quit smoking and thought, that's that. But here's the thing about lung cancer. By the time you see the symptoms, it could be too late. But now, there's a new scan that can detect lung cancer early, when it's more curable. If you smoked, get scanned. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Did you know that August is National Make-A-Will Month? Well, each year, many individuals are faced with the task of creating a will, yet many might find themselves putting off the important task. And not only do wills ensure your money and assets go where you want, but they can also alleviate some family members from stressing over what to do with your finances. Our financial expert, Ernest Burley, from Burley Insurance and Financial Services, is here to talk about beneficiaries, wills, and what you need to know. Ernest, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And now, this is a very difficult conversation to have because you're talking about death and wills and all those things, but it is important to talk about.
Yes.
So how old do you actually have to be to make a will?
Well, you can't be a minor, so a minor can't enter into any type of contract or sign a contract. So as long as you're 18 or older, you should be able to get a will done for you.
And tell me about that process of actually making a will. Like if I were to make one today, where do I go and how do I do it?
Yeah, I would recommend speaking with an attorney. I like to stay in my lane, so that lane is an attorney. That person would advise you as to what type of will. I should say what type of trust, because wills are pretty basic, but they can give you better advice based on your assets, what your intentions are, and things of that nature as to what direction you should go.
And then what about handwritten wills? Are those legitimate? How would you write it? Would you, tell someone to do that or no?
You're asking me these legal questions. I'm not an attorney, but a handwritten will is a legal document. As long as you signed it and you have two witnesses, that's a legal document. So I wouldn't recommend that, but yes, if it's handwritten and witnessed by two people, then yes, it's legal.
Gotcha. And what exactly is a beneficiary?
A beneficiary is a person who, or an entity that benefits from something. It's normally used in terms with life insurance, IRAs, retirement plans, things of that nature, for a person who receives proceeds from one of those plans. So they're a beneficiary because they benefit from the proceeds from those plans. So that's what a beneficiary is normally used as far as that term is concerned.
And then what's particularly important to know about beneficiaries?
Well, to keep them updated because, life goes on. Sometimes people get divorced, they get remarried, and they forget to change the beneficiary, say, on their life insurance policy. Something unfortunate happens, and that person passes away. Guess who's getting that money? The former spouse. Mm-hmm. That's going to be an awkward moment.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. What exactly is the purpose of a will?
Well, the purpose of the will is to distribute your assets based on your will, based on your will, your intention, your desires. So that is the purpose of it, to say, hey, this is how I want my assets to be distributed. and you put it in a legal document, an actual written document.
And how would you recommend distributing financial assets and things like that if not a will?
Yes, I don't recommend trying to distribute that in a will. Like a will is more so for like property, if you own a business, things of that nature. But if it's a financial account, like a bank account, I would recommend a POD. We talked about this on a previous session. POD stands for payable on death. So basically you can name beneficiaries on your bank accounts. If it's an investment account, a TOD stands for transfer on death. Same thing, you name beneficiaries because you want to avoid probate at all costs. So that's a way to get your assets out of probate and directly to the individuals you want to receive the money.
And tell me, what exactly does probate mean? What is that?
Probate is the legal process of distributing your assets, basically. So that's the legal process. It's called probate.
Gotcha. A will, does it escape probate since a person's desires are outlined?
Well, no. So that is the legal process to distribute your assets. The will goes through the probate process. So that's the way to say, okay, well, this person has an actual legitimate will. You need to go through the court system, the legal process to prove that will. Okay, this is a legal will, and then get to distributing the assets throughout that legal process.
And then what if a person does not have a will? What do what would you tell them, and how should they go about doing a will?
Well, a person who is called dying intestate. If you don't have a will, it's called intestate. And if that happens, then the state has laws. Each state has its own laws to figure out, okay, we're going to distribute your assets based on the way we have our laws configured. And that's not ideal. You want your assets to be distributed the way you want them to be distributed, not the way some laws are distributed, laws are configured in your state. So let's not do that.
Yeah. And then how often should a person update their will?
Well, if a major event happens, if you don't need to update it if nothing happens, right? If everything stays the same, but things change, you get married, you get remarried, you have children. So when major events, some people call them life events, when those things happen, then you might want to revisit that will.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Ernest, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And individuals should contact their own financial professionals and attorneys to help answer questions about specific situations or needs before taking any action based on this information. And still to come on CTV News, Simon Buggs is back with our Tuesday sports page, and he's talking college football. Simon, what's in store today for our sports fans?
What's up, sports fans? I'm back, and stay tuned for your Tuesday sports page as UMD football coach Mike Loxley and receiver Ty Felton both touch on the quarterback room as the team heads into the 2024 season. Don't move.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. If you could see you through my eyes instead of your ego, I believe you'd be surprised to see that you've been blind. Walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes, yeah, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile in my shoes, well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Jason, let's go see your room.
No, that's not right. How was it? Is it good?
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Okay, sports fans, get excited because it's time for your Tuesday sports page. We start with some news from the world of college football as the Talia Tagovailoa era has come to a close, and that means there will be a new quarterback under center for the Terps in 2024. Now the competition is stiff as multiple QBs, such as Billy Edwards and MJ Morris, are vying for that starting spot. And head coach Mike Locksley spoke on how he will determine who the Terps starting quarterback will be in 2024.
The biggest one that I can tell you I lean on heavily is what we call our drive chart, where I chart live drives with every quarterback, whether we do a 2-minute period or a live team period, and I basically chart how the drive ends. And as I've said before here, every drive should end in a kick if you're a good quarterback, meaning we should either be punting the ball, we should be kicking extra points, or we should be kicking field goals. If we're ending drives with turnovers or ending drives, with penalties or things like that, then that's not playing winning football. And so I can tell you, the guy that does the best of putting the team in position to score points and finish drives the right way will end up being the guy.
I also talked to receiver Ty Felton, and he touched on what he likes most about the quarterback room.
Because Coach Locke's back in the room now, so it makes that room very competitive when you have a head coach in there. So the work those guys put in. They've been putting in a lot of work ever since the bowl game ended last year. So just watching the work those guys put in and the progression, it makes you want to be a better player, because when you have a guy that's elevating his game every day, I'm trying to elevate my game too. So it's definitely a blessing having that competitive and that sense of urge in that quarterback room.
The team will open up the season at home against UConn on August 31st. Sticking with Terps football news, the team has recently landed their 6th four-star recruit and wide receiver and safety Messiah Delhomme out of Newport News, Virginia. Delhomme is extremely talented as he is the number 5 ranked player in Virginia. He is also UMD's 2nd highest ranked player in the 2025 recruiting class, and he chose Maryland over other D1 schools like Ohio State, Virginia, Alabama, and Auburn. Moving on to some Bowie State sports news, are you looking for a chance to show your skills off on the gridiron? Well, look no further as the Bowie State football team will be hosting walk-on tryouts on September 9th. But in order to qualify, you must be a full-time Bowie State student as well as in good academic standing. For more information on the tryouts, visit the website on your screen. Meanwhile, the Bowie Bayhawks will try and bounce back from their loss on Sunday against the Harrisburg Senators with a win tonight against the Altoona Curve. The game begins at 6 o'clock. And now to the major leagues. The Battle of the Beltway will begin tonight as the Washington Nationals will be on the road taking on the Baltimore Orioles. The two teams will take the diamond at 6:35. And that wraps up your Tuesday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
All right, Simon, thanks so much. Well, before we go, let's get a look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be partly cloudy. Tomorrow will be nice and sunny. We're looking at a high of 86. Thursday is looking a little hot. We can expect a high of 88. And Friday, it'll be mostly sunny with a high of 88 to kick off the weekend, but we do have a 40% chance of rain that night. And for a look at our community calendar, calling young and aspiring photographers this Thursday, the Darnell's Chance House Museum is hosting a photography class. Youth ages 6 to 14 will create a cool work of sun art, which demonstrates the fundamentals of photography using found items on site. And advanced registration is required with Parks Direct. But for more information, you can contact 301-952-8010. And that's all the time we have. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow night.
If love were a threshold, we could cross every ocean to understand whale song and coral, crab and plankton. If love were strawberries and wheat, we could shape it into a sweetheart dessert, passing our lips as if we had only tasted earth once. And if love were hanging from the branches of the pine and palm, acacia and fir, we could be indivisible from the tiger, the turtle, the bison and birds. If only our love were larger than wildfire and faster to take root. If only our love were more swift than the eye of the hurricane and strong enough to break storm surge. Here is the boldness of our love in one hand, our strength against what we might lose in the other. Can we love more? Yes, yes, yes.